Have you ever wondered what actually lies behind the labyrinth of a seemingly endless showroom? Beneath the brightly colored price tags and those winding maze-like paths of the world's largest furniture retailer, there is a hidden, heavily guarded corporate mechanism. It's a blueprint so meticulously engineered, it literally disrupted the global economy. Today, we're pulling back the curtain in this explainer to deconstruct a true flat-pack empire.
108 million. That is the staggering number of people who walk through their doors every single year. Across 128 fully owned stores, this Swedish giant generated a massive $5.4 billion in sales. And get this, that was just back in 1994. The sheer volume is frankly almost unfathomable. So how exactly do you build a machine that attracts that kind of massive foot traffic?
Well, let's dive right into Chapter 1, the empire's scale and the covert blueprint of global dominance.
To really understand the mechanics of this beast, we first have to grasp its reach. They methodically expanded across 26 different countries, creating a massive global footprint. But here's the kicker. They didn't do it by creating a million different products for a million different cultures. No, instead, they engineered a highly standardized, universally accepted product range. A sofa that works in Stockholm is explicitly designed to work just as beautifully in Seattle or Singapore. Now, when you look at the financial lifeblood of the company, you'd probably assume their home turf in Scandinavia is driving all that revenue, right? Well, the data actually reveals a very different story. Germany and the US completely dominate the board here. They are the true financial engines of this corporate giant, which really proves that the appetite for their specific brand of retail totally transcends its Nordic origins.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, the reverse pricing formula, or as I like to call it, engineering the counterintuitive.
To absolutely crush the competition, they had to flip the entire concept of manufacturing upside down. Listen to this core philosophy from founder Ingvar Kamprad. He said, "To design a desk which may cost $1,000 is easy, but to design a functional and good desk which shall cost $50 can only be done by the very best." In traditional retail, you know the drill. You design a product, you calculate the costs, and then you slap a price tag on it. Here, the exact opposite happens. The price tag is uniquely engineered before a single sketch is even drawn.
So how do they actually achieve those impossibly low prices? It's all thanks to a brilliant little concept known as the prosumer. By definition, a prosumer is half producer, half consumer. They realized early on that if they transfer the final assembly labor directly to you, the customer, they dramatically slash their costs. Think about it. You aren't just buying furniture. You are literally providing the free, self-service labor that keeps this empire so highly profitable.
This highly guarded machine runs on a relentless 5-step methodology. Step 1, set an aggressively low product price. Step 2, pit your global trading offices against each other to find the absolute cheapest production package. Step 3, ignite internal design competitions to hit that strict price point. Step 4, pack it entirely flat for transport. And finally, Step 5, sell it in massive low-service retail warehouses. This aggressive system is exactly what allows them to target prices 30 to 50% below the competition.
Moving right along to Chapter 3, Mastering Global Supply Chains and the Architecture of Efficiency.
Maintaining this kind of pricing requires a logistics network that moves with absolute military precision. We are talking about a highly intricate balancing act of 1,800 different suppliers spread across 55 countries. Now, the company treats these suppliers as long-term business partners, integrating them deeply into their own system. Yet, at the exact same time, they force them into fierce, ongoing competition to guarantee they're getting the absolute cheapest raw materials on Earth.
And all of those massive materials, they flow through just 18 global distribution centers. But those 18 centers handle roughly 70% of all flat-packed logistics worldwide. Their revolutionary flat-box design minimizes transport costs to the absolute limit. And by strategically placing these massive hubs near major ports and rail routes, they ensure an unbroken, highly efficient chain from a factory in Indonesia straight to your living room.
But it's not all perfect. Let's look at Chapter 4, Cracks in the Veneer, exploring their hidden constraints and controversies.
You see, an empire built entirely on cost-cutting inevitably faces immense pressure. Underneath those glossy, colorful catalogs lie some serious hidden vulnerabilities. Pursuing the lowest possible cost comes with severe operational risks. Over the years, they've faced significant media backlash over child labor allegations involving subcontracted carpet suppliers. Environmental organizations like the Robin Wood campaign fiercely targeted their use of exotic tiger wood. And on the business side, localized copycats like Bush Industries began hijacking their entire flat-pack model.
These mounting pressures force the company to make rapid, necessary ethical pivots regarding labor and ecological sourcing just to protect their global image. Which leads us to Chapter 5, the global chessboard, and the challenges of conquering uncharted territory.
Adapting to these global threats is, quite frankly, like a high-stakes geopolitical game of Risk. Just compare two wildly different territories for a second. In the affluent U.S. market, their standardized Scandinavian pine actually met resistance. Americans unexpectedly demanded customized, larger oak furniture. But contrast that with the explosive reality of Moscow, a volatile, fast-growing demographic absolutely desperate for modern furnishings. This high potential actually resulted in their Russian stores attracting more foot traffic than almost anywhere else in the world.
But penetrating a market like Moscow is far from simple. When you're dealing with import duties ranging from 25 to 80%, and inflation rates soaring well over 15% annually, and a highly inflexible administration, shipping flat boxes from Sweden simply is not going to work. To bypass these crippling tariffs, the company had to rethink its entire blueprint. They found themselves relying heavily on local Russian production and even exploring franchising as necessary survival tactics in such an unpredictable economy.
And finally, Chapter 6. The future of flat-pack and adapting the blueprint.
Which brings us to the ultimate climax of this corporate explainer. Can a company that built its billions on rigid, unwavering standardization continue to thrive as it expands deeper into diverse, demanding local markets? What actually happens when a global giant is forced to adapt its core identity just to survive local cultures? Will the relentless pressure to customize their furniture and localize their supply chains fracture the very foundation of their cost-cutting genius? Or will they successfully redraw the billionaire blueprint for a totally new era? The answer to that will undoubtedly redefine the future of global retail.